Learn to Fight. It's Manny back with another video. We got a lot of stuff going on today. Today we got the UFC 315 fights going on. Jack Magdalena versus Bilal Muhammad. We got Jose Aldo on there fighting Firas Zahabi's brother. We got a bunch of questions from people who want to learn how to fight. We're going to get into it today. We got a lot of stuff going on. So, first off, I think personally Jack Magdalena is the best boxer in the UFC right now. You got Ilia Topuria and you got Jack Magdalena. I actually saw Jack Magdalena fight in Anaheim whenever Francis Ngannou fought Ciryl Gane. He fought some dude with red hair who was like 4-0, who had a bunch of KOs, like a couple KOs against bums. And the one thing I noticed about Jack, he's one of the best boxers in the UFC. When you see him live, throwing hands, his setups are great. He's a dog. Like, he goes in there and he finishes fights. You know, when he fought Gilbert Burns, he really showed a lot in that fight. Because in that fight, he went in there, he got his arm broken, and he was down 2 rounds, I believe. And he went in there and he KO'd Gilbert Burns by the end of the fight. You know, as the fight went on, he became stronger. So Jack Magdalena is one of the best boxers in the UFC right now, in my opinion, by far. We also got in the card, this fight card, we got Valentina Shevchenko versus Moonin. I don't really care about that fight. I got Valentina, I got Jack, I got Jose, I got Benoit Saint-Denis. You know, I'll be dead honest. The dude Benoit's fighting, I haven't done much research on him, but Benoit is a dog, hell of a fighter. So let's get straight into it. You know, let's see what's going on. Let's get straight into it. All right, so Jack Magdalena. First off, the one thing about him that I noticed is he has incredible jabs. His jabs are clean. He has great cardio. And all his fights in the welterweight division have been just dominant performances. You know, even the fight with Gilbert Burns, even though Gilbert Burns was winning 2 rounds of those fights. In that 3rd round, when he came out to fight Gilbert, like, he really legit got stronger in that 3rd round. I liked how he escalated his level, like with his breathing. He just came out and he just overwhelmed Gilbert Burns. If he were to fight someone like Ian Machado, he would destroy Ian Machado. And when you see Jack, when you see him going, his main attributes are his cardio and his boxing. Those are the 2 main things with him. You know, he has a good amount of power that ends up happening over a cumulative of strikes. It's kind of similar to like Nate Diaz or Nick Diaz back in the day. Nick Diaz specifically. That's who he reminds me of. You know, anytime you're fighting a dude who has their nose on the other side of the face, you know it's going to be a real fight. He's coming out of Perth or Australia, somewhere like that. They got only legit hardcore fighters out there. Bilal, on the other hand, is a great fighter as well. He's a cardio machine. He's really shocked a lot of people in the sport. You know, Bilal came out against Leon Edwards, had an incredible performance. Bilal went out there to Dagestan, and he's a hell of a fighter. The reason I'm choosing Jack Magdalena to win this fight is simply the boxing. The first thing you learn in martial arts, mixed martial arts, any fight, you're going to start with the hands. That's how I started out. You're going to start with boxing. And when it comes to it, you know, Bilal's going to be coming in there. He's going to be trying to take Jack down. And Jack's just a superior striker. I believe Jack's going to be using the uppercuts. And those uppercuts are going to be really piecing up Bilal. I believe cardio, they're probably both similar cardio. But as Jack showed in that Gilbert Burns fight, when the fight gets tough, he gets tougher. And, you know, same thing with Bilal. I think this fight is setting up for like one of the best fights of the year, you know. And, you know, I know Bilal gets a lot of hate, but I think this is going to be one of the best fights of the year. And regardless of who wins this fight, if Jack wins this fight, I don't really see many people in the welterweight division beating Jack. You know, if he fights Ian Machado, he's going to piece up Ian Machado. If he fights MVP, That could be an interesting fight. If he were to fight MVP, that could be actually very interesting. You know, if he fights Sean Brady could actually give Jack a good run for the money. But you know, Jack's coming off of, he broke his arm after a Gilbert Burns fight, and he was out of the game for a bit. So him coming in here fighting Bilal right off the bat is going to be interesting. But I do believe that he's going to piece up Bilal. Ilia Topuria is a hell of a boxer, hell of a fighter. Ilia Topuria is probably one of the top fighters out right now, probably like top 5 out right now. And this style of high-level boxing and being a high-level boxer in MMA right now is a huge advantage. You know, if you have good takedown defense, you're going to have a crazy advantage. We've seen Alex Pereira come out the gate just knocking everybody out. And Alex Pereira has incredible boxing. You know, Jack has been running a tear on the whole welterweight division for some years now. You know, so this new wave of boxers, Ilia Topuria and JDM, I believe when you look at like Ilia, when you see him striking, Ilia has very crisp striking, but I believe Jack has just a more aggressive type of overwhelming style, you know, and this style is like the best style to have in MMA right now, you know. So 2 different champions. A good matchup would be JDM versus Ilia, but I believe JDM is going to piece up Bilal. Now, that's just what I see. I like Bilal, but I think it's going to be a bad night for Bilal, you know, and I see it happening with the uppercut off of a takedown. You know, JDM, his main strength is his boxing, but he does have really good knees and kicks as well. He's just an overall impressive fighter. You know what I'm saying? And Bilal, on the other hand, his main strength is his grappling. Bilal has good boxing as well, but I think it's just gonna be a long night for Bilal. Honestly, I think it's gonna be a long night for Bilal. You know, if I gotta put the money down, I'm gonna put it on JDM, especially because I saw him fight in person when he fought. I forget the dude's name. The dude had red hair, and he had like 4 fights. JDM came in. It was his UFC debut, I believe, and it was like obvious that JDM is gonna fucking destroy this dude. You know what I'm saying? And that's what he did. He's absolutely pieced him up with the jabs, pieced him up with the uppercuts, just nasty, perfect range control. When you're fighting somebody who has really good range control, it's super hard to take them down. So when Bilal fought Leon Edwards, hell of a fighter, incredible fighter. The difference is though between JDM and Leon, JDM has better boxing than Leon. You know what I'm saying? Leon throws a lot of kicks, and he's an incredible kickboxer, but that leaves you open for takedowns anytime you're throwing kicks. JDM has great kicks, but he primarily focuses on the boxing. Ilia Topuria, I keep going back to Ilia because Ilia probably is the best fighter out right now. You know what I'm saying? And Ilia, he never gets taken down. He never throws kicks. I don't believe he's thrown a kick in all of his UFC fights. And this new style of high-level boxing with elite takedown defense, I believe is the new wave. Like someone like John Jones, right? John Jones, when he fought Alexander Gustafsson, John Jones is an incredible wrestler, grappler. He has good kickboxing, but Alexander Gustafsson gave him a lot of trouble with the boxing. So if you have real crisp boxing in MMA today, you're going to be a problem. And that's what I see happening with Bilal. You know what I'm saying? Like when we look at Jack's striking here, look at his footwork. You know what I'm saying? Look at his hands. It's not like crazy athleticism. It's not crazy. You know, you look at it and it's like, oh, why is he so good? But when he fights, he's a dog. And what really sold it for me is like seeing JDM break his arm. And when he fought, okay, so when it comes to fighting, you can tell what's going to happen, or you can kind of predict what's going to happen based on some things. When Jack fought Gilbert Burns, that was a hard fight, back and forth. By the 3rd round, he needed to win that round, right? He needed to win the round. And in that round, he like leveled up. He leveled up like 4 levels, and he came out and he just destroyed Gilbert Burns. Imagine if there was 2 more rounds in that Gilbert Burns fight. Imagine, right? So this fight is a 5-round fight. JDM might get taken down a few times, but by the end of the fight, he's going to overwhelm Bilal. And when you're wrestling, you're shooting over and over and over again, and he's getting hit with those uppercuts, and he's getting hit with the jabs, and he's moving around. It's going to be a bad night for Bilal. It's going to be a real bad night for Bilal. That's what I see happening. That's my prediction. Next, we got Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo, there's something that has to be said about these fighters who've been fighting for a long time. Jose Aldo's been fighting for damn near 20 years, and he's still fresh. He's still good. You know, a lot of people, obviously when he got knocked out by McGregor in 4 seconds or whatever, that was a devastating loss. But Jose Aldo, man, when I was in high school, I was watching Jose Aldo in WEC. He came out, and he was probably I think 21. He was coming out with the crazy leg kicks, just some of the most fastest leg kicks you've ever seen. And he was just piecing everybody up, piecing up Manny Gambarian, piecing up just literally everybody, and to look forward in a sport like MMA where it's been a good 16, 17 years, and Aldo is still in here. He's still fighting. He's still throwing hands, And now on the other side, we got Firas Zahabi's brother, and Firas Zahabi's brother is a good fighter, but I think he's going to get destroyed by Aldo. I think Aldo's coming up on a third wave, a second wave, The way I see this fight going, obviously, Ayman needs to take down. He needs to take down Aldo. Aldo's been out there boxing and, doing different things. His striking has gotten even better. But the main thing about Aldo is Aldo has probably the best takedown defense in all of UFC. When you look at his body of work over years and years and years, he has some of the best takedown defense ever in the UFC. He probably has the best leg kicks, but the way I see this fight playing out is I see Aldo coming out, throwing the hooks, throwing the kicks, and I think it's just gonna be a wash for Aldo. I think he's just gonna wreck him. I think he's just not even gonna be close. Firas Zahabi is an incredible coach, and this is his brother. Firas Zahabi is one of the most knowledgeable coaches in the sport, but I think Aldo is he's going to destroy him. I would put my money on Aldo every single time. When we look at someone who's been fighting as long as Aldo and competing at this level, really the only other guy there right now is John Jones and Jim Miller. And Jim Miller, he wasn't a champion, but he's been a top 10 fighter and stuff like that. And both of those guys, John Jones and Aldo, are much younger than Jim Miller. So there's something that needs to be said. Aldo, incredible fighter. He deserves his flowers. I mean, MMA is a brutal, brutal, brutal sport. And to be able to still be fighting in the UFC at this level and winning fights, I don't really think people understand how hard that is. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. So Aldo, I got Aldo winning. I think Aldo's going to knock him out even. I do. I think Aldo, something that also needs to be said about Aldo has an incredible uppercut. Aldo has great boxing. I think if you want to make the perfect fighter in MMA, you need to have number one, I think you need to have wrestling. And then number two, I think you need to have really good boxing. The reason that is because if you have really good boxing and you have really good wrestling, this is the Chuck Liddell prototype. This is common sense stuff. The Chuck Liddell prototype, but with clean, crisp boxing like Jack Magdalena. And that's what we're seeing. Ilia Topuria, I think, is kind of like the perfect fighter, because he has incredible grappling, incredible boxing, elite level boxing. Ilia, when I see his highlights, to me, it's like he looks very similar to someone like Canelo. I know all the people are going to come in talking shit now, oh, blah, 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 blah. He's no Canelo. Shut up. he's the closest thing we have to someone like Canelo in the sport, you know. So I think when it comes to being the perfect fighter, you need to have boxing and you need to have elite level grappling. If you have those two, the kickboxing you can let slide. And the way we could tell by that is because look at Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira has great kickboxing, yeah, but he's knocking people out mostly with his hands. You know what I'm saying? When we go throughout the years, Chuck Liddell knocking people out with his hands. Chuck Liddell was barely throwing kicks, right? Chuck Liddell's top. McGregor with his boxing, incredible. Yeah, he set a lot of his striking up with his hand, with his kicks, but McGregor had incredible boxing. You know, and the list goes on. Tom Aspinall right now, you know, Tom Aspinall, he has incredible boxing. You know, he was what? Training with Tyson Fury for a minute, or a sparring partner for Tyson Fury. So for me, that's why I'm going with JDM and I'm going with Aldo. I think it's going to be just a straight up wash for both of those fights. So now we're going to get into a couple questions. All right. So right here, we got a question from a supporter. Males who don't train, asking if I could beat them. Why? Female 22, and I train in MMA for 2 years now. And every single time a guy who doesn't train finds out, the conversation eventually turns into, do you really think you could beat me? A woman could never beat me. A woman could never beat me. Yeah, but if I really went all out, you wouldn't stand a chance. It's exhausting. Like, bro, you've never set foot in the gym. You don't know how to throw a punch properly. You've never been punched for real. Why do they assume that they could just, because they're a guy, they can automatically win? How do you girls deal with this? Because I swear I'm going to lose my mind if I hear this one more time. All right, let's cut straight to the chase. All right. On this fight card, we got Valentina Shevchenko fighting some chick. We got Alexa Grasso fighting some chicks. I personally don't watch women's MMA. Let's keep it 1,000. I've seen women in the gym who are pros beat dudes' asses. But let's keep it real. You know, unless you're an elite level woman like Amanda Nunes, you know, let's just keep it real. Most guys, there's a difference between knowing technique and being a good martial artist and violence. There's a very distinct difference. You know what I'm saying? So as far as the question goes, if you have Valentina Shevchenko and you have Joe Blow on the street who is bigger than her, more athletic, most of the time Valentina is going to win for the most part. But it really depends. Like if a dude just tackles Valentina, you know, it's going to be a rough night. She's going to take a lot of damage if she fights a dude. You know what I'm saying? A dude who really, really wants to get her. Like, yeah, most of the time she would win. But to be honest, just because you train martial arts doesn't mean that you're going to win a fight. There's a big difference between fighting in the gym and fighting somebody for real. And the main difference is the level of violence that someone's willing to go to. And that's where you see that. That's what I noticed in the ring, for example. When you look at someone like John Jones, the level of violence he's willing to go to is just different. You know what I'm saying? Someone like Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje, the level of violence he's willing to go to is just a different level. And that's the main thing. There's a big difference between martial arts and violence. And I think the best fighters are able to combine the two, you know? And yeah, so as far as the question goes, yeah, it really honestly depends. It just depends on someone like Valentina is not going to beat a 180-pound man who's athletic if they really want to beat her ass. You know what I'm saying? She might, if she hits him with some eye pokes, kicks him in the balls, hits him with some elbows, possibly. But for the most part, if Valentina fights a dude who's 200 pounds or 185 pounds, who's athletic and angry and pissed off and has in decent shape, it's going to be a rough night for her. But with that being said, I've seen women beat dudes' asses in the gym. I legit have seen women beat guys' asses in the gym. And women who fight need to be respected to the utmost, because any woman who's fighting is in the gym training with men. getting their ass beat just like the men. And it's more respect because, like, you know, these women, they have to go through their period, all their emotional bullshit, all that stuff, and they're still in the gym. They're still in there throwing hands. So most women aren't going to be able to beat most men. You know what I'm saying? It's such a nuanced question. If you train in the gym, it really ultimately depends what level that you're training to. Like if the average guy fights Ronda Rousey, yeah, she's gonna fuck him up. She's gonna slam her on her head, fuck him up. If the average guy fights Valentina, there's a good chance she's gonna fuck him up within reason. If Valentina fights a dude who doesn't know how to fight and he's Brock Lesnar size, she's gonna fucking lose. It's the same thing as like the 100 men versus one gorilla. Let's go, which they've done this in Russia. They've done like 4 women versus like one fat dude, and the fat dude just like beats up all the chicks. So as far as the question goes, like I think with a lot of women in the gym, what I've noticed is they start training martial arts, they get their confidence up, and then they become a little bit delusional. They really believe that they can beat up most dudes, and they can't. You can defend yourself, but to be honest, most dudes, the level of violence they're going to be willing to go to, you know, even if a woman beats up a dude, you're going to take so much damage. It's like you kind of lost. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, it's a hard question to answer. It's a hard question to answer. But most dudes don't know how to fight. Most dudes will get their ass beat, you know. So it's a tough one to answer. So next question we got here. Man, what the fuck? Sending paragraphs. Come on with the paragraphs. Anybody trying to read all that? But let's get into it. Let's read this shit. All right. So newbies should know their place in the gym. I agree. Newbies should know their place in the gym. You come in the gym, you fucking bow. You know, let's keep reading it. Let's keep reading this shit. Newbies should know their place in the gym. All right. So I worked at this gym as a janitor, and it was a normal shift. At the job, nothing crazy. I just trying to mop the mats like usual. Suddenly, coach throws a new guy in with a 14-year-old that's basically raised in this gym. I already know it's gonna be bad. They touch gloves, and the kid immediately starts piecing up and hitting him up with jabs. The new guy panics, sticks a hand out, and eye pokes. The kid's straight in the face. Not a little poke either. The kid drops and starts a full meltdown, kicking the mat, screaming, swearing, looked like he was about to summon a demon or something. Coach is trying to calm the kid down. New guys just standing there like he saw a murder. Like he saw a martyr. I'm off to the side with the mop, wondering if anyone's gonna clean up the tears off the mat, or if that's my job too. Out of nowhere, mid freak out, the kid charges him and swings like crazy. New guy panics again, throws a check hook without thinking, clips him clean. Kid hits the mat like someone unplugged him. Got KO'd at 14 years old. Whole gym just freezes. Coach looks like he's about to have a stroke. I'm already thinking about how much paperwork this is going to cause. Kid wakes up a minute later, says he's fine, starts crying again. Parents show up, haul him to the ER just to be sure. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there with a mop in my hand thinking about putting in my 2 weeks. Mat's still dirty. Nobody even finished sparring. I mean, I don't really know what the question is there. I mean, like, yeah, newbies should know their place in the gym. I mean, I don't really get it. Like, if you go to a gym, and that's what I'm saying, the level of violence. So here's the thing, right? Everybody knows, everyone who trains jiu-jitsu, everyone who does martial arts knows the time that you're most likely to get injured is when you're going against someone who's new, who has no idea what the fuck they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because they spaz out, they do stupid shit, they jump around, they just do crazy stuff, and that's how people get injured like all the time. And that's what I'm talking about. When I talk about the level of violence, like someone's willing to go to, like in martial arts and even just a situation in the gym. So the new guy, he's getting pieced up, he's getting his ass beat. And what does he do? He eye pokes you. You know what I'm saying? And you weren't expecting that. the 14-year-old shouldn't have been sparring with the new guy anyways, just because if you're fighting a grown man, the level of violence they're going to be willing to go to is going to be different. You know, the kid spazzes out, freaks out, and then tries to knock the dude out, and he gets clipped with a left hook. Boom. The kid could have had better technique. The kid could have been a better martial artist. But at the end of the day, fighting isn't martial arts. You know what I'm saying? Fighting is a little bit more than martial arts. It ultimately comes down to the level of violence you're willing to go to. And when we go back to the original point, when we're looking at JDM and Bilal, the level of violence JDM is willing to go to, I think is a little bit more than Bilal. Not to say Bilal is not a great fighter. He's a great fighter. But JDM, he really throws hands. He really gets in there, you know. And that's another reason why I believe Bilal is gonna lose the fight tonight. You know. Next question: am I too old to go pro in UFC? I'm not even gonna. Yeah, you're too old. If you're calling UFC pro, you're a dumbass. You know. So let's read this shit. Am I too old to go pro in UFC? Hi, I'm 34 years old. Let me stop you there. Yeah, you're too fucking old, bro. Here's the thing, right? You're never too old if you have the passion, if you have the motivation, if you have the drive. You can do whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? I think Francis Ngannou started fighting when he was like 29 or some shit. But I can already tell, like, nah, bro, you don't got it. Hi, I'm 34 years old. I've torn both knees doing other sports. I'm too old to try. Am I too old to try to go pro in UFC? I have no training, but I've watched every UFC fight ever. So I think I would rise and rank pretty quickly, right? Nah, you are going to get your ass beat. And I'm going to keep it 100% real with you, because you're going to go into a gym and you're going to you're going to go into the wrong gym and you're going to pay these people a bunch for privates, and you're going to go in there and you're going to get your ass beat. You know what I'm saying? You can fight John Jones on your first fight. Before anybody knew who John Jones was, look at that fight. Matter of fact, we're going to watch that later. John Jones went in there. He fought some dude, beer belly out to here. He's thinking it's just going to be a brawl. He probably watched UFC like you and thought it was going to be a good old time. I'm going to go in there and whoop smash. Bro got slammed on his head, got hit with elbows, never fought again. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you're too old to fight UFC. If you're just starting now and you've been watching UFC from the couch, MMA from the couch, and you never train martial arts, and you're not some good athlete, and you're coming in with two bad knees, yeah, you're going to lose your knees. You're going to get your ass beat. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. So, fighting 2 days, no experience. All right, so this shit drives me insane. You know, this bro here is fighting in 2 days, has zero experience. You guys are going to get fucked up coming into this sport. I know it looks cool. It's cool and all. Like, everybody wants to be the guy to go in there, knock everybody out, and hop on a cage and fucking take your shirt off and beat your chest and shit. Sounds cool, but you're coming in 2 days, no experience, and you're gonna just hop into a fight. Unless you're just a real raw dude, like, you're a dumbass if you do that. To be honest, because here's the thing, right? Like, I can see your technique and I can see like how you move, and you know, like, you're dropping your hands, you're throwing these slow ass kicks. I don't know what type of sparring this is, but you're gonna get knocked out. You're gonna get knocked out badly. Imagine you go in your first fight and you're fighting JDM, who's been training his whole life. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna build his record off your ass, and you're gonna take a fight in 2 days. It's not advised. You know what I mean? You guys can see it for yourself. Like, look at how bro moves. You know what I'm saying? Like look at this. Like, this is terrible. You're gonna get knocked out bad, you know, and you're slow. And it's like, it's just too many people are hopping in the sport nowadays who don't know what the fuck they're doing. Bro here, you looks decent, you know. He's just learning martial arts, kicking the bag, working hard. Looks good. You know, I'd say keep your hands up. Any tips? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I mean, well, my first tip is get a better cameraman because half your head's cut off. Like, it's 2025. Learn how to film a video. You know what I'm saying? I can't even see your hands in this video. That's my first tip. Second tip, yeah, I mean, the hands look good. You know what I'm saying? If you're just beginning, the hands you're getting better. You know, doesn't look bad. You know, the stance looks good. Your hands are up. Like, this isn't bad at all. This is good stuff. You know, we got bro here throwing crazy spinning kicks, spinning. Oh, we're throwing spinning shit now. This looks great. You know, that looks solid. On, go back. That looks solid. I like that. And that's a young kid right there. Bro here, next one. All right, so you're dropping your hands. Again, another guy who doesn't know how to film a video. Let's get a good cameraman. Let's get you in the frame a little bit. But right here, every single time that you open up your arms like that, all someone has to do, someone who's a good boxer, like let's say Ilya, they're going to drop that right hand right down the middle and knock you out. Right here, a little bit more movement, you know, like unless you're just training for cardio, like a little bit more movement, you know, you throw a jab, bop, you move around. That's one of the reasons I also like JDM. What the fuck's going on here? Critique my combo. I mean, if you want me to critique your combo, this is some of the worst work I've ever seen. You want me to critique your combo? I mean, I don't know. Oh, go back. I don't know what the fuck you're doing with that kick right there. You know, watch this. What? I don't know what the fuck was that, bro. Go back to the drawing board. Scrap that. Back to the drawing board. We need to work on that a little bit. How's my boxing? So far, it's good. I like the hands up, you know, a little bit more head movement. You know, obviously, usually I would like be a little bit more harsher, but you're just fighting in your living room. It looks good. It looks good. The boxing looks good. Send in your videos, and I'll critique your techniques. You know, I'll critique your techniques. I like all the boxing work. We got another question here. Hey, stop sending in these long ass messages. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck? I ain't trying to read a fucking paragraph. Let's get into it. I got dropped 3 times by the coach at a new gym. Okay, and so far, I mean, that's interesting. All right, to preface, I'm 21 years old, 145 pounds, and I've been training for 3 years. I love fighting. I have some BJJ tournaments, some kickboxing matches, and 2 boxing matches under my belt. I've been looking for a good gym to get some MMA fights under, so I've been traveling around the state. Which led me to a semi-well-known gym in my area. Kickboxing class was great. Exactly what you'd expect. Can't fucking read today. Exactly what you would expect. We drilled combos and then eventually light sparred. After what was some MMA drills. Hold on. Can't fucking read today. Hold up. I already know you guys gonna be talking shit. Hold on. After that was MMA class, which is coached by a former UFC fighter who was cut due to some controversy after going 2-0. Interesting. MMA class was just sparring 16-ounce gloves and shin guards. My 4th round, I didn't get a partner in time, and the only other guy was a coach, 200 pounds, jacked, by the way. So we start sparring, and kind of out of nowhere, at the beginning of the round, he blasts me with the hardest leg kick I've ever taken, right above my knee. And he does it probably 4 more times before he starts throwing them with his heel, not a push kick, to my knee. That sounds fucked up. That's fucked up for sure. Just a rear kick with his heel instead of his shin. All those dropped me. Never time he dropped blah, 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 blah. Am I reading all that shit? Here's the thing. You're probably leaving shit out. He probably beat your ass. You probably came into the gym maybe being a dumbass. I highly doubt you went into the gym and you were respectful and cool, and he just went in there and whooped your ass. Maybe some dudes are knuckleheads. Maybe he did. But if that's the case and that's just not the gym for you, maybe he wanted to see how tough you were. But typically, if you're 135 pounds going into a gym, unless someone's just a complete knucklehead or you did something to piss them off, I mean, that's what it sounds like. Like, if you're getting dropped 3 times by a coach and it's your first day, I mean, that's kind of crazy, you know? But there are gyms, like, who do stuff like that. Some guys are just dumb. You know, I can only say my experience in gyms, I've only had good experience when I was coming up and I didn't know how to fight. I go into a gym and I was always, you know, we never really had – I got dropped before, but I never had nothing like that. So I would say it's just the wrong gym for you. Don't go to that gym. Don't send in paragraphs. Keep it short, and that's it. I knocked someone out, and I feel bad about it. So I had a smoker/fight for a belt today, and the dude that I was originally supposed to fight missed weight, and they replaced him with someone I had previously submitted and had a pretty good idea of how much better I was than him. Comes fight day, and I can tell he's nervous, more than usual. I don't know, but I ignore it. My game plan was to start low, but he shelled up to me and kept coming forward. I eventually knocked him out in 26 seconds. I danced around, celebrated, but now that I'm home just sitting here, I feel like a total scumbag, and I'm not proud of myself. I don't even want to look at the belt I won because it doesn't feel like it means anything. It was a total mismatch. Me being 5-1, him being 0-2. I don't know. Strangers on the internet chime in. Yeah, I mean, you see this all the time in martial arts. You see it all the time. Like, that's the most actually, a kid died recently in New York. It was a similar type of thing, a smoker match. The kid went in there and he was like some Asian kid, like he was a smart kid. He went to a school like Stanford, and he went in, had a smoker, had like 3 fights, had got a concussion, and he died. This happens all the time. I mean, feel like a scumbag. Yeah, I mean, you should feel like a scumbag. You knew you were better than him, way better than him. I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing, right? It really just depends on what your goals are. If your goals are to be a fighter and you have a fight, really, I guess that is up to his coaches for allowing him to go into a fight with a guy and get brutalized. You did your job, but if you honestly knew you were way better than the dude and you knew he had nothing for you, you knocked him out, that's something that you can't really take back. Are you a scumbag? Yeah, you are. But this is a sport for scumbags. You know what I'm saying? This is the sport for dirty, rotten cage fighters and scumbags. To be honest, some of my fights were, I wish I was more of a scumbag. You know what I'm saying? To go in there and just beat their ass. So, yeah, that belt is a toy belt. That's a fake belt. That's not real. You're not a real champion. The dude who got knocked out, he needs to change his team and not be around people like that. But that's really it. I mean, this is a sport for scumbags. You are a scumbag for knocking that dude out 1,000%. And you're more of a scumbag for celebrating. This is something I can't stand nowadays with Instagram and stuff like that. You got dudes fighting people who don't know how to fight, knocking them out, celebrating like they just won a UFC championship, and then posting the shit on Instagram to get bitches. Like, fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? The real fighting, there's resistance. You know what I'm saying? A real fighter is someone like Jack Magdalena. That's why I fuck with him heavy, because bro got his arm broke in half, was down 2 rounds, came out swinging and whooped Gilbert Burns' ass. That's real fighting. That's what it's about. All this other goofball shit, going in, having these fights against people who don't know how to fight, and then pretending like you're some badass, fuck out of here. You are a scumbag, but at least you understand it and you acknowledge it. So respect. But yeah, throw that belt away. That belt's a toy belt. Next. So next, I want to show you guys three different ways you could throw head kicks. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back. I'm going to show you guys three different ways you could throw the head kick. And I'll be right back, and we're going to get back into the UFC 315. One of the most devastating shots you can land is the head kick. If you're really good at it, it is probably the most powerful shot your body can generate. The shin to the dome, boom, knockout. So I'm going to show you three different ways that you can land this head kick. As every move in martial arts, it's all about timing. If you throw the head kick at the wrong time, it's not going to land. It's not going to have as much power. So off of a leg kick, when someone's throwing a leg kick at you, that's a perfect time to counter with a head kick. That leg kick is coming, like boom, on the left side. That leg kick's coming on the left side. As they're kicking, you're going to land the head kick. Boom, right there. Beautiful way to land the head kick. Another way you can land it is when someone throws a punch, boom, the punch has to recoil. As that punch, you got to time it. As that punch is recoiling, you replace that recoil with the head kick. So that punch is coming back, head kick on the same side. One of the best ways to land a knockout off of a head kick. If your opponent, let's say your opponent is constantly throwing a jab cross hook over and over and over again. He throws that jab, that cross, as it's retracting, you slide in that head kick. Boom, brutal. Absolutely brutal shot. And another way to land a head kick, one of my favorite ways to land a head kick is you're gonna mask the head kick behind your punches. So you throw that punch, I throw this cross right here, and then boom, the head kick is coming right after that. Again, cross, boom, head kick is coming right after. Cross, the kick comes right behind the head, the punch. It makes it so basically you blind the vision, and then you land the kick behind it. It's absolutely brutal. Yeah, so as far as JDM goes, to be honest, if JDM goes in there, gets bro tired enough, I could see him landing a head kick. I doubt it. I think he's just going to piece him up with the hands. But that last way to throw that head kick, blinding them with the punches and then throwing the kick right behind, that's how Leon Edwards did Kamaru Usman. So we're going to get back into UFC 315. You know, the fights that really interest me the most is obviously JDM versus Bilal. You know, Bilal, he's grown on me over the years. Pause. You know, for the longest people, here's the thing. I told you, go back and look, right? I said Bilal was going to win that last fight against Edwards. Why did I say that? I said he was going to win because he was fighting for Palestine, right? And in fighting, if your reasons for fighting are strong enough, it makes you a way better fighter. You know what I'm saying? Look at it. Look throughout history. Francis Ngannou was fighting for like basically the African immigration story, shit like that. You know, John Jones started fighting because he had 2 kids and he needed to make the money, right? Bilal, that last fight with Edwards, he showed up on a different level because he was fighting for the people of Palestine. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, that's still something that's in his mind, and I'm sure he wants to continue being a champion for the people in Palestine. However, I think he won the belt, and a lot of times when people win the belt, they kind of fall off a bit. So JDM, he's coming in, he's coming off of breaking his arm. He's never fought for the belt. He's been doing this shit a long time. Look at bro's face. His nose is on the other side of his face. This is all he lives for. He doesn't care about nothing else. Bro could die in the cage and he would be happy. He's that type of fighter, you know? So I think going into this fight, let's go back. When JDM broke his arm and he was out for a while, anytime a fighter breaks a bone and they're out, they get pretty depressed, super depressed. I can tell you from firsthand, and especially because when you're fighting, it's like it's such a high. So JDM is coming off of a roller coaster where he beat Gilbert Burns, broke his arm, he's out for a bit. You know, before that, he also had some injury where he was out for a bit. And now he has the opportunity to become the world champion, something that he's been working for his entire life. You know what I'm saying? So I think when all that being said, I think he's coming in with a crazy level of motivation, a crazy level of drive. And this could be potentially like a fight of the year type of candidate. You know, when we go into the mind of Bilal's proven himself. He became a champion. You know, everyone knows his name. He went in, he beat Leon's ass. You know what I'm saying? He showed everybody what's up. So he fought first people, became one of the first Palestinian champions, if not the first. So going in, I'm sure Bilal's motivation is sky high. I'm sure Bilal is coming in really good. You know, he's out there in Dagestan with Islam. You know, he's coming off of Ramadan. I'm sure he's powerful and strong. But with all that being said, I think JDM is just gonna. I think it's just his time, and I think he's gonna knock him out. And I think it's gonna be an incredible performance. You know, and going after that fight, after if he beats Bilal in a dominant performance. I mean, you got Ian Machado, you got Shavkat Rakhmonov. If hopefully JDM wins, because we don't want to see no boring ass fights. You know what I'm saying? I like Bilal, but if he were to fight Shavkat, if Bilal were to win this fight and fight Shavkat, that would be a boring ass fight. We don't want to see no boring ass fights. So I really hope JDM wins, and I think he will. And if JDM beats Bilal, if he's able to outpace him and stuff the takedowns, hit him with the uppercuts, and then he's fighting Shavkat next, I think he'll beat Shavkat as well. And I think JDM could really be a guy who's a champion for a while. You know, fast forward a few hours, and maybe I'm completely wrong. JDM gets his ass beat, and now you guys are back, and you're like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Fuck out of here. I do think JDM is going to fuck him up, though. And I think Aldo is going to have an incredible performance. If Aldo loses this fight, you know, it might be time to pack it up for him. I doubt he will, but if he loses, especially if he gets knocked out, bro's been fighting for 20 years, damn near. Bro's been at the top of the sport since I was in fucking high school. Before UFC had the 145-pound division, there was WEC. And for all you new guys who didn't watch the WEC was more entertaining than the UFC. Straight up, it really was. The WEC had, back in the day, it had Jose Aldo, Cowboy Cerrone, Anthony Pettis, Dominic Cruz, and Dominic Cruz is on the commentary tonight. Dominic Cruz, fucking TJ Dillashaw wasn't in there yet. Uriah Faber, Danny Castillo, had all these fucking guys. You know what I'm saying? And all those been fighting since then. All those guys are fucking retired. You know what I'm saying? Like, Uriah Faber is retired. Dominic Cruz, retired. Somehow Aldo's still in here beating people's ass. And he has 20 years of experience. So I think Aldo's going to go in. He might hit bro with the knee, you know, kind of similar to how Corey Sandhagen did Frankie Edgar. There's only two fighters who have been fighting and still at a high level like Aldo. That's Aldo, John Jones. Aldo, John Jones. That's it, you know. So I put my money on Aldo, you know. Hopefully we make some money on these fights, you know, break the streak a little bit. But other than that, I mean, a fight to look out for in the welterweight division that would be very interesting. To me, I think Michael Morales, I think he's going to win that his next fight. And that's a very interesting fight. A very interesting matchup would be Mike Morales versus JDM for the belt. If Mike Morales wins his next fight, he should fight for the belt next. No. If Mike Morales wins his next fight, I mean, you got Buckley up there. We got a lot of guys at 170. We got a lot of guys lurking. We got Michael Morales. We got Buckley. We got, how can you ever forget about Buckley? We got Ian Chato. We got Shavkat. So JDM wins against Bilal. The next fight to make would be, in my opinion, that I would really, really want to see would be, I'd want to see JDM and Buckley fight. I think that's a real interesting matchup. Obviously, Buckley has a fight coming up, but for me, if I was the president of UFC, I would make JDM and Buckley fight, and I would have Ian Chato and Michael Morales fight. I don't believe Ian Chato makes it past Michael Morales. Michael Morales is an interesting fighter, very interesting fighter, because it reminds me of John Jones back in the day. Like when John Jones came out, if you watch him fight, it's not like you look at JDM, right? And you can see he has very clean, crisp striking, crisp boxing. You look at Ilya Topuria, you can literally see he has very crisp striking. Michael Morales, he doesn't have crisp striking. Even his wrestling isn't like super, like clean. But there's just something about him. Clearly, he's 17-0, and he's a young dude. So Michael Morales is someone that everyone needs to keep an eye out for. When he fought one of my friends, Nikolai Verovinov, Nikolai is a hell of a fighter. Nikolai is a great fighter, and him and Michael Morales had a good fight. But JDM could be the new, he could be a guy who is going to defend the belt more than, we had Kamaru defending the belt. He broke the records. Then we had Leon, right? I think JDM is a guy who actually will defend the belt a couple times. And then I do believe Buckley will get the belt at some point. I've been underestimating Buckley for a minute. He keeps coming out on top. And another thing, this is perfect. This is exactly what I'm talking about. All right. Leon Edwards. Let's look at the belt, right? Let's look at the reason all these people wanted the belt. Okay, Kamaru Usman wanted to be the first African champion at welterweight. And he wanted to be a champion because we had the 3 African champions. So that was a very big deal. You know what I'm saying? And he was able to become a champion and become one of the most dominant welterweights ever. Leon Edwards, he had a lot to prove, and he was doing it for his dad and his backstory, and he really, really wanted. He had a lot of reasons to become a champion. You know what I'm saying? Kamaru, he had been the champion. He'd been beating everybody up. He broke the records. You know what I'm saying? Bilal comes in. He wants to win for Palestine. He has an incredible performance. And now we got JDM. When it comes to fighting, it's really about the internal. You know what I'm saying? I think the reason someone like John Jones continues to win is because he has a very chaotic internal, and he has a lot of demons that he's fighting with. And the fighting is how he is able to basically express himself. So with someone like Bilal, I don't see him winning this fight. I really don't. I think he's going to get pieced up. And then after that, Ian Machado, I don't think he will become a champion, to be honest. I know he has reasons, but I just think the other fighters have bigger, deeper reasons to win and to want to fight more than Ian Chato. Doesn't mean he's not a great fighter. He's a good fighter. Although his reasons are to win this fight is he literally is at the end of his career and he wants to make another run. And I think that the loss to Conor McGregor haunts him every night. I think that loss to McGregor getting knocked out in 3 seconds, 4 seconds, haunts him every single night. I think that's why he wants to continue to fight. I think he could become the champion again, actually. And if he were to become a champion again, I mean, that's unheard of stuff. So I think Aldo has bigger reasons. I think Aldo's inner motivation is going to be stronger than Zahabi's. When it comes to fighting, that inner drive, that inner motivation is the reason we watch this shit. The reason Jack Magdalena was able to come out on top when he fought Gilbert in that third round was because his inner motivation, his inner drive is what took him there. That's the reason we watch this shit. When John Jones is fighting Alexander Gustafsson 5th round and they have a crazy ass war, the inner reasons is what it is. And I think although all those inner drive and inner reasons for wanting to continue to fight is just going to be more. Because bro's been fighting for 20 years. He's clearly made millions of dollars. He's clearly not fighting for the money. You know, he went and he after he retired from UFC, he was boxing. You know, I think it's going to be an incredible performance for Aldo. You know, and that's pretty much it. You know, I don't care about the women fight. You know, I really don't. I think Valentina will win. I think Alessa Grasso will win. I could care less about the women fights. Benoit Saint Denis, I think he's a great fighter. I think he's a very tough guy. I think he probably will win the fight, especially after coming off of a loss to Poirier. I think he's gonna go in there, take bro down, put him in a choke, put him in some military shit and fuck him up, But other than that, this fight card, to be honest, for me personally, this fight card is underwhelming. Like, I care about the main event, and I care about Jose Aldo's fight, but every other fight on this card to me is just kind of like, I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem with UFC nowadays. There's just too many fight cards. There's too much oversaturation. There's no I guess you got Paddy the Baddy. When he fights, it's exciting, but it's just, unless we have the John Jones Aspinall fight, there's just too many fights going on. You know what I'm saying? For me, I'm hardcore into it. I watch damn near every fight. And I don't really care about this fight card. I'm literally only going to watch the main event, Jose Aldo, and I might watch Benoit Saint Denis fight. And that's it. UFC, we need more. We need better fight cards. The fight cards are always great, but we need those blockbuster fights. You know what I'm saying? And, maybe they're coming with it with John Jones, but I want to know what you guys think. Is it oversaturated? I know there's a lot of new fans in the sport nowadays, so you guys don't remember UFC 100. You know what I'm saying? You guys don't remember these superstar cards. Like, we used to have Rampage and Rashad Evans on the pay-per-view, and the whole fight card is stacked. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, it's like the cards are watered down. There's so many great fighters, but the fight cards are watered down, and I think you see it, for example, for example, when JDM had that first fight in the UFC when Francis fought Cyril Gane, the guy that JDM fought was like 4-0. He fought a bunch of bums, and JDM destroyed him. Because the UFC has so many fighters on the roster and they're putting on so many shows that's watering down the fights. But for all you guys out there, there's a fighter. I actually fought him before, Luis Franciscanelli. Watch out for him. He's like 5-0 right now, all knockouts. Very good skill fighter from Brazil, and he's like 6'7" at welterweight. I think he potentially could become a champion. And I think he's going to be signed to UFC very soon. He's a very good fighter. And if Luis were to fight Ian Machado or most of these guys, I think Luis Franciscanelli can beat a lot of these dudes. So that's someone to watch out for. In the welterweight class, I think right now he's like a top prospect who's not in the UFC. Luis Franciscanelli. And, we had a fight. He won. Is what it is. But I could show respect to any fighter. Like, Luis is a legit fighter. If you guys don't know who he is, you should look him up and check him out. Other than that, I think that's it. JDM is going to win. He's going to knock out Bilal, probably by an uppercut. Bilal is going to be coming in for a shot. He's going to get booped right up in the uppercut. And I think from there, Bilal should probably retire. If he doesn't retire, maybe you have something like Bilal versus Ian Machado. Actually not. I want to see Ian Machado and Buckley. But other than that, I mean, welterweight, there's so many good fights to be made. And, you know, I'm calling it right now, JDM by knockout in the 4th round, uppercut. Learn to fight.